Hello and welcome back to the Vigilant Geek Indie Book Initiative. This week we ventured to MIDGARD Comics in Derry, New Hampshire to interview Chris Hebert, co-founder of HB Comics.
So I want to say I was about maybe, I think it was like 8, 9, 10 at the most. What happened is my older brother Alan, who's the co-owner and actually founder of HB Comics, brought home a stack this thick of the Secret Wars issues 1 through 12, Marvel's big crossover event. And I knew most of the guys through other media, like, you know, everyone recognized the Hulk from Bill Bixby and, you know, Captain America and Spider-Man, and most of the other guys like Wolverine and Thor and Iron Man I didn't really know. I remember literally waiting for Alan to finish the next issue so that I could go on to the issue. I was like reading one behind him, and after that it was just like off to the races. It just started picking up. We'd be like, oh, I like that guy Wolverine in there, and the X-Men had this cool part where they were, you know, trying to fight off Spider-Man. So I went out and I bought Inferno, and then I read X-Men for a while, and then I ended up kind of looping back to Captain America and Superman, and those are kind of and Peter David's run on Hulk. It's kind of what I grew up with. Oh, absolutely. So Vindication, which is obviously a team-centric book, you know, I obviously, like almost every other team book out there, have to kind of give a little bit of homage to X-Men. Of course, it's certainly a different idea, but you know, I can't say that the dynamic and the story structure and the character interaction isn't based on those early 90s books that I read. You know, as soon as Image came out with Wildcats and even Liefield's Youngblood, you know, I picked up those too at the time, and those things had a huge influence. But oddly enough, the story structure, I basically patterned my story structure off of Peter David's run of Hulk during the whole Gamma Bomb story of the Grey Hulk and the leader leading back to New Mexico. That's kind of how I learned how to structure stories. Laserman specifically, absolutely not. We knew from the get-go that we wanted to create a universe, and it was important to us to not just come out with one book or one hero, but to come out with a whole bunch of stuff. The problem is that I had created heroes on my own and teams on my own, and I didn't even know Alan was a writer. And he came up to me one day and he said, "Hey, you know, I do writing, and I know that your art is looking really good lately. Let's team up. I'll write them, and then you draw them." And I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" You know, this whole like surge of legitimacy came into it. And then Alan was like, "Yeah, and I have a hero too, a new character." I'm like, "Cool, what is it?" He's like, "It's called Laserman." And I was like, "Laserman? Oh, you gotta be kidding me! Laserman?" See, like, I literally was like, what did I just get myself into? I had no idea, and I thought it was like the stupidest name ever. I'm like, that sounds like he literally just thought of it 2 seconds ago. Of course, I wouldn't realize that then I would spend the next 10 years of my life drawing the thing, and that it was absolutely supposed to be the most generic name imaginable. That's literally the point of the character, is that is the name that character would come up with, and because it really is kind of a throwback to lighthearted classic superhero stuff that would have that name unapologetically. Of course, I didn't know that when he brought it up, but he just literally dropped the name on me and walked away, so I would not have dreamed that would end up being the center of our universe. I was just kind of like, okay, he'll do that, and I'll humor him, and then it ended up being the coolest things that we have. So, as I'm sure most independent comic creators can tell you, the largest hurdle is always getting the physical work done. I think that there's a lot of aspiring comic book artists who think that it's going to be really, really fun to draw a comic book, and they usually draw battle poses and individual characters. And you know, when it comes time, it's like, okay, here's a script, and there's 4 pages of 2 people talking and discussing the plot, and you're going to have to draw a wide cityscape and show regular stuff happening. Then they get bored with it and realize, hey, this is a lot of work, and then you never hear from them again. A lot of writers that I know in the industry have been through like half a dozen artists trying to find someone who would actually produce work, or who actually was able to follow through. We kind of got a little bit of a leg up on that, because obviously I'm the artist for the title that we started with, and my brother is the writer, so you know, it's easier to get it done when you know where your artist sleeps. So, you know, we kind of got over that hurdle early with our book, and then once we started showing up at conventions with issues 1, 2, 3, and people saw that we were actually producing stuff, it was a lot easier to convince the hard-working artists, you know, that this is worth investing their time into. And we've grown now. We have 6 artists that are putting out titles for us, and we know all of them and trust all of them explicitly. So when I wrote Vindication, I very much put different elements of myself into each of the characters. I didn't want to go like the Mary Sue route and like just try to make a version of me as a superhero. But I thought that if I was going to write these characters realistically, I needed to take a shard of my personality, a portion of the way I think, transplant it into a character so that I could tell that personality trait in a real way, and then build kind of a new character around that. So in that way, you know, a character like Surge very much represents my kind of oversensitivity to when bad things happen. You know, I watch the news and I get really upset, and you know, when a lot of bad stuff is happening, and I can't always let it go because I have a natural empathy that kind of takes over. So kind of my rage at like these people who are running rap shop all over the world is kind of channeled into Surge, and I built the character around that segment of my personality. And then I took my, you know, inability to shut up and my you know, my constant need to constantly hammer in a joke and my kind of perverse sense of humor, and that became the basis for Speedfire. And you know, my overdeveloped moral conscience became kind of the grounding point for Imogen, and so on and so forth. So the team of Vindication is very much, every member of that team has kind of a segment of my personality that is their defining trait. You really like me. You know, I say this actually, ironically, I do the least on Team Synergy than any other book. Alan's the writer, Scott Shriver is the artist. I do the coloring, the lettering, and I help Alan with some of like the character interactions. But the thing that I'm most proud of is really 100 small moments that we see at conventions when a family walks up and, you know, the young kid walks up and looks through things, and the young daughter is sitting back, you know, like she doesn't really expect to find anything for her. And then you know, we have Team Synergy, look, it's a bunch of girls just like you, and they just light up and they get excited. And we've seen that over and over again at every con we've done since we came out with Team Synergy. And every time that I just literally sit back and smile at myself and think that that's why we do it. So it's really the collection of those moments. The look on a little girl's face at a convention when they suddenly realize, much to their surprise, that there's a comic book at my table that has them in mind. Absolutely. There is actually going to be an arc coming into Laserman where one such character from one of the teams you mentioned shows up, and it's going to be kind of a big clash of heads with Laserman and another character. We're going to be getting that into a few issues. But we've had this stuff planned out intricately from the beginning. This has always been a living, breathing universe where we're telling the story of a core universe from different angles here. So absolutely, these characters most of them are based in New York City. It's a big city, but it's not that big. They're going to bump into each other. We just didn't want to immediately start out and be like, oh, it's issue 3, and look, here's a guest star. We wanted everybody to kind of get their own rhythm going, so that, you know, when, you know, say, Surge and Laserman show up on the same page together, and, you know, everyone's like, oh my God, it's on. So hopefully it's going to be a big year for us, because we're kind of hitting the ground running. We've had 2 brand new titles that are in production and are going to be ready to go during this year. One of them is a title called Legion of Justice, which is written by the Mystery Man writer Ken Youngquist, and that is going to be launching, I think, towards the end of the summer. And also a book called Landslide, which is going to have, it's going to be written by Alan Hebert, who writes Laser Man and Team Synergy, and it's going to be drawn by our buddy Rick Lozano. And both of those two titles are going to be premiering this year. That's going to officially bring us to 6 titles. 7 if you count the newly relaunched web series Hardcore and Lethal, which is going to be making a premiere in paper after a successful Kickstarter last year. So, new titles. Laserman number 10 is going to be coming out at the beginning of the summer, and that's going to begin a huge story arc for him. And we're planning to get out at least 1 of every title, probably 2 of Team Synergy, because Scott works really fast.
Excellent. Well, Chris Hebert, ladies and gentlemen, from HB Comics. Thank you very much for your time, Chris.
Thank you.